Good morning, East Alabama to West Georgia. Dr. Don in here with you on your Sunday morning, bright and early. It is coming up on 5 o'clock over on the time clock this morning. I hope that you set your clocks ahead when you went to bed last night. If not, you're running a little bit behind this morning. So we're watching for the possibility of some severe weather this morning across Alabama and across Georgia. And I'm going to kind of bring you up to date on what we're looking at this morning and what we think is going to happen. First, let me switch over to the National Weather Service office at Birmingham, and let me show you the latest graphic from the National Weather Service. They issued this at about 3 a.m. This morning. And this is a little bit different. They've changed this a couple of times throughout the night, which is a little unusual. Typically, they don't do that. But anyway, they changed this at around 3 or 4 o'clock this morning, and you could see that it appears the best chance for severe weather today will be in central Alabama and then down a little bit further to the south, maybe from about the I-85 corridor south, or maybe across our coverage area from about, we'll call it Clanton, over to around Alexander City, then down to around Auburn and south is where the better chances will be. But you'll see that we do have a marginal risk there across all of Chambers County up into Randolph, Coosa County, and then back over toward Tallapoosa County and up in Talladega County. So those would be the areas where we would expect the best chances. They're using the I-20 corridor as that northernmost line. They're saying from I-20 south is where the better chances of severe weather will be today. And then from I-85 south is where the absolute best chance of severe weather will be today. And so you see the timing over there on the right-hand side of the screen for most of East Alabama and West Georgia. We're talking 8 a.m. this morning through about noon. That is 8 a.m. That's going to be Central Time, 8 a.m. Central through about 12 noon. Noticing some questions up there in the chat box. What about Roanoke? Roanoke is in East Alabama. Roanoke is south of I-20. So you're in this area that we are talking about where there will be the possibility of severe weather this morning. Though I think the better chances of severe weather will be further south than Roanoke. We can't rule out that possibility of a severe storm across the Randolph County, Roanoke area as well. Now, what is the greatest threat with today's storms? The greatest threat will be damaging straight line winds of 50 to 60 miles per hour. Though some small hail and a quick spin-up tornado cannot be completely ruled out as the main line of thunderstorms move through the area. But again, I would tell you that the greatest threat of severe weather will be that damaging straight line wind. Good morning, Center Chapel. Good to see you in here this morning. Miss Gloria is watching us from Alexander City. And then we got Cindy Smith in here this morning from Roanoke as well. All right, so is anybody else having trouble with sound? I've got a note there that says no sound. Somebody give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay this morning. And good morning, Valley, Alabama. Good to see you in there as well. Let me switch over to the radar, and we will just go ahead and start from north to south, and we'll run through this entire situation here. Same for Budston. You're in East Alabama, so you are in that area where you could see some strong to marginally severe storms this morning. So yeah, I get a thumbs up, so I'm assuming that means my audio is okay this morning. All right, so let's start up north, and then we're going to work our way south. We actually have a couple of different lines of activity taking place out there this morning. We'll zoom in a little bit so you can see your county outline. And we'll start up here in southern Cherokee County. This is up in northeast Alabama, just south of center. We have that one line of thunderstorm activity that's just pushed through the area there, stretching from Cedartown down to Coldwater in northern Cleburne County, down to about Heflin. That area of activity is moving through Anniston at this hour, and then it continues on off down to the south to just west of Delta and just to the west of Ashland You got a good bit of thunder and lightning down here this morning, and this is going to be one of those days when you see a stroke of lightning, you're going to hear thunder rumble forever. It's carrying a long way, so you may be, even you folks over here in Randolph County and even over in West Georgia, you may be hearing thunder way back over here in Talladega and Clay County this morning. Let me give you a word of caution. The pollen is about to kick my tail, and I'm really battling this morning with sinuses. So if I have to break every now and then, if the audio goes blank for just a few minutes, that's because I'm trying to gain my composure. And then we move on over to the west. Just a really wet ride out there on I-20 this morning, in I-59 north of Birmingham, up there around Adiana, Springville, Walnut Grove, just pouring rain up there. And then north of Birmingham, we have that secondary line of storms stretching from Warrior back down to just to the west of Tuscaloosa, and then down to around Gainesville, Alabama, right down the I-20 corridor to around Livingston. And we also have another very thin line of thunderstorms stretching now from Montevallo back down to around Greensboro to Demopolis and down to around Pennington. Going to zoom back out, and there's one feature I want to kind of bring to your attention, and it is here on the southern end of what will eventually be the main line of storms. And what I want to point out is you'll notice how down here on the southern flank of this line of thunderstorms, the line is kind of bowing out a little bit. Let me go back up here. And you can see right there's where the bow starts. And then down to the south, down to around Livingston and back down to Meridian, Mississippi, you kind of see a bowing right there in the line. Now, that would be indicative of strong straight line winds in this particular area. If we go back and stand by. Okay, now if we go back and zoom back out, you'll notice that the northern sections of this line not really bowed that much. It's right down here on the southern flank of this line of thunderstorms. So assuming that this moves continuing to move off to the east, that's probably going to put this bowing segment of thunderstorms right along the I-85 corridor when it makes it over into East Alabama. And it's got a ways to go to get there. So it may be a couple of more hours before we see this thing over here in places like Valley, down to around Casita maybe, and Auburn, Opelika area. But we'll watch that as it moves across the state of Alabama. Notice this very thin line of storms that stretches from Montevallo down to Demopolis. That's a linear line of storms. And then this stuff that's moving into East Alabama at this hour, not really that organized as far as a line is concerned. They are kind of broken and scattered. There could be some pockets of gusty winds in this stuff that's moving into Clay County at this hour as well, but doesn't look nearly as organized as what we're seeing over there in West Alabama, especially over on that southern end of that line of thunderstorm activity. So we'll put the radar in motion. We'll let that start to rotate through. Now, originally yesterday, we thought that the severe threat would be this afternoon and that what we would see this morning would just be rain. The Weather Service has kind of flip-flopped on that idea. They're saying that if we have any severe weather, it likely will be this morning and not this afternoon. And again, we think the best chances of severe weather this morning will be, and I'll just draw it for you, basically in East Alabama, basically something like this, and south. So you folks from Roanoke, from Sylacauga, Roanoke, south in Alabama is where the better chances of severe weather will be today. Cannot rule out the possibility of a strong storm up here in northern Clay or northern Randolph, but the better chances will be from about Sylacauga south down here to all the way down to the Gulf Coast regions. Okay, so let me go back over to the chat room right quick. Now, kind of the way we're going to play this morning, I'm going to do periodic updates. Until we have some type of severe weather to cover. Right now, we don't. Right now, we have a tremendous amount of rain moving into the area. It's been raining up here in northeast Georgia for a couple of hours or so. And we've got some very heavy rainfall moving into East Alabama, especially across Clay County. As I zoom back in so you can see the county lines, that is really heavy rainfall up there from about Delta back down to Ashland. But it's not severe. We're just watching to see if that's going to happen. So far, we do not have any types of watches from the National Weather Service. We're monitoring to see if they're going to issue anything. And so far, just watching the discussion in the National Weather Service chat room, they're not talking about issuing any type of watches this morning so far. I think if they were to issue anything, it would be for Central and South Alabama, and those areas that would be in line with this Boeing segment of thunderstorms that's coming out of Mississippi, crossing I-20, headed toward Demopolis, Alabama. That would be the area I would expect if they do issue a watch this morning. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I appreciate that, Cindy. I was in Columbus, Georgia all week last week for an emergency communications conference down there. And I don't know that I have ever seen pollen that thick. and there apparently was a controlled burn going on somewhere down there. Between the smoke and the pollen, it was unbelievable, and it got me. Question from Christy: what time should it be in Roanoke? Well, it is going to last for several hours. The first line of showers moving through Clay County now. So, if this line of storms keeps its current composure, most of that will probably be from Wedowee north in Randolph County. But you'll notice that on the southern end, we're beginning to see it fill in a little bit. So if this first line makes it to Roanoke, it will probably be within the next hour. And then there'll be a little break in the action. And then we have that main line of storms. It'll be in here probably mid-morning, 9 or 10 a.m. It'll take at least a couple of hours for the main line to make it across the state of Alabama. What I'm trying to say is the severe threat will probably be in place until about noon today. Maybe ending a little bit sooner, maybe out of here by 11 a.m., but we'll see. So I think the severe threat is this morning. You could have a shower or thunderstorm at just about any time. We don't have any severe thunderstorms on radar at this hour, so if we get any severe weather, it has not developed yet. We're watching to see if that's going to happen. Russell County, you're not going to get any of that northern line up there in up in Clay County. So a couple of hours before you see anything down there in Russell County. Yeah, probably I would say between 7 and 8 o'clock down there in Russell County. Again, Clay County and central and northern Randolph, you've got a line of storms moving through Clay at this hour, stretching from about Delta down to Lineville and Ashland. That's moving to the east, so that's going to sweep right on through Randolph County in the next 30 minutes. And the bulk of that, I think, will be Wedowee north, maybe Needham's Hill north, Rockstand north. I'm not sure it quite makes it down into the Roanoke area. We'll see. So that's kind of the situation we have at this hour. Again, no severe weather, and I'll zoom back out so you can kind of get a good look at the overall picture. This is scanning from Birmingham. No severe weather across the state of Alabama. You'll notice we did have a severe thunderstorm warning over there around Philadelphia, Mississippi earlier, but the Weather Service has allowed that to expire, and they did not extend that warning into Alabama, so that's a good sign. So at the moment, no severe weather across really anywhere across the southeastern United States, and particularly no severe weather across Alabama. We are watching for the possibility of severe weather today, basically from I-20 north. Better chances will be from I-85 south. And I apologize, I said I-20 north. Best chances of severe weather today from I-20 south, and the better chances will be from I-85 south. And the greatest threat here will be damaging straight-line winds in excess of 50, 60 miles per hour. Even though small hail and a few small tornadoes cannot be completely ruled out, the wind profiles are not that conducive for tornadic activity today. I think that the biggest threat is going to be damaging straight-line winds. And if we have any organized damaging straight-line winds at this hour, it most likely would be down here on the southern flank of this line of thunderstorms from about Utah, Alabama, back to around Meridian, Mississippi. If that continues moving due east, then that's going to line up down there right along that I-85 corridor. This line of storms moving through Clay County, though not as well organized. Could be some pockets of gusty winds involved in that line of storms as well. There's certainly a lot of thunder involved in it, thunder and lightning all across central and east Alabama this morning. So we're monitoring this for you very closely this morning, and so our plan is to just continue to do updates as we deem necessary. However, if we go under any type of watches or warnings, I'll come back immediately, and I'll go with wall-to-wall coverage for you here on this Sunday morning as we watch the possibility of severe weather across East Alabama from Dr. Don's Weather. Stay with us.